Milk is so good. It makes me think of camembert or brie or ricotta or Swiss. You know, cheeses are amazing and they all come from this, milk. But if chickens are the gateway drug into homesteading, then mozzarella is the gateway drug into cheese making. And today we have a little special treat because we have two different ways that you can actually make cheese. Mozzarella specifically, we can go the traditional fashion, which is using citric acid and rennet, but we can also go with just white distilled vinegar. So consider it in the mode of the Super Bowl was yesterday. Let's get ready to rumble. So let's go ahead and get our milks in here. We're going to go with a whole gallon in the traditional fashion, and we're going to go with a half a gallon with the vinegar, mainly because I've never done it before. I'm sure it'll taste amazing, but that's what the recipe calls for. So let's get these milks poured in here. Now, one thing I do want to point out, and this is why this is so important, and mozzarella is important to learn. If you guys love pizza, then you know that Polly-O makes the best cheese for pizza. You can debate that in the comments below, but I'm right. Mainly the reason is because they use whole fat milk for their mozzarella. Now, I would give you a challenge. Try to find whole fat mozzarella in a store today. It is almost impossible. However, you will notice that this is not only whole fat, we still have the cream on top of ours, but it is not homogenized nor pasteurized. Now, could you make this with whole milk from the store? Sure, you could. You might want to put a little heavy cream in there to kind of give it that whole hearty, smooth fill that you're looking for pizza cheese. But I digress far enough. Let's go ahead and get these milks heated. I'm going to start this one first, mainly because this one has to heat up just a little bit further. For the vinegar recipe, you want this to heat up to 115 degrees before you add your vinegar. With a traditional one, you want to heat this up to 90 degrees. And my recommendation, if you've ever burnt milk, you probably already know this, don't go full heat. So a few things while this is heating up that you're going to want, depending upon which method that you go with. Either way, you're going to need some type of sieve. You're also going to need some cheesecloth. I'll try to put links in the comments below, or in the diddly-do below. You're going to want some type of thermometer. I've seen the ones that are infrared. The only problem is that that is only going to be on the top. So this, we can actually run this around. This is already at 65 degrees, and this one's at 50. We just poured our milk in here. You want to make for sure that you stir this often. Again, you don't want the bottom to be too hot. And as you start, you want to put in 1.5 teaspoons of citric acid. You just want to sprinkle this around. And then stir it in. And again, we're using whole fat milk, raw milk, if you will. So it's important to actually make for sure that you keep that stirred so you can get that cream to kind of mix in. And kind of fill along the bottom, make for sure that you're not burning. This, especially for this one, this is only coming up to 90 degrees. This is going to hit that really fast. Now it's at 64, 65, low 60s. This one has to come up to 115, and this is already at 85 degrees. So it does not take long for it to come up to temperature. So a few more minutes, and we'll check back in with you. I have a hard time showing you this one, but you can just trust me, or not. But it's 90 degrees. So we're going to actually turn the heat off of this one, and we want to pour, it is a 1/4 teaspoon of rennet. Now we use animal rennet. You can use vegetable rennet, whichever kind, with about a cup of cold water. And you just want to pour it around, and you want to stir it for 30 seconds because you're trying to get that all mixed in there. We're going to put our lid on, and we are going to let this set for 5 minutes. Let's see how we're doing as far as the temperature on this one. And look at that. We're actually right on temperature. So 115. This one, again, we turn it off, and this is 7 tablespoons. Seems like an awful lot, but 7 tablespoons for a half a gallon of milk. And we're just going to pour this in, and we're going to stir this as well. Wow, that, you can actually feel that like setting almost immediately. So we're going to cover this. Now this one is going to set for 15 to 20 minutes. This one's going to set for, we found, about 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll check them both probably right at about 10 minutes and see how they are. Sometimes recipes do not go as planned. Now I can tell you that we've made this one a number of times. This took a lot longer, and I'm going to show you this. This is actually what you're looking for. This is what's called a clean break. So see how that's coming? It's almost like solid. So you're just going to want to cut this into like 1-inch cubes. Cut through with a nice sharp knife. The reason why I say this didn't go quite as planned is because normally this happens after about 10 minutes. I'm not sure what was the cause of that. Now, if we go over here to this other one, because I'm going to actually heat that one back up, because I want to, what they call, I believe it's called curing the curd. This one, you can see it's just kind of lumpy. Now, that is actually what we're looking for. That right there is your mozzarella. I'm going to stir up the traditional version, just real gently. I want to break it free. Actually, I'll use the other spoon. I'm going to stir this up and run the spoon around the edge here. But now I've got to heat this back up. And I want to bring this up to 105. So, unfortunately, normally this doesn't take all that long because it happens pretty fast. But it's still actually sitting at about 90 degrees. So, I'm not sure what happened here, but we're going to go with it. It's cheese. Can't be bad. But this one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get a bowl. We want to drain as much of the whey off of it as possible. I normally don't like to use the spider, and you'll see why here, because it kind of sticks to the spider. It's kind of a pain to clean. And we're just going to keep on scooping that out. But the rest of this is whey. Now you don't want to throw out the whey. There's a lot of good uses for that. You can use it any place where there's supposed to be buttermilk, and I'm making a mess on the counter. So, and I'll come back to that. I'm going to just let that sit there and think about what it's done. So we're back up to about 91 degrees already. Again, we're trying to get this one to 105, and then we're going to get our bowl set up for this one. We're going to put this in a sieve. We can put it in a cheesecloth if we wanted to. And we may still actually end up doing that. But notice how this whey is just kind of draining out of the curds. And we want to take this, we want to kind of softly, I have cleaned my hands. So we want to just gently kind of squeeze this. We're trying to get as much of that moisture out as we possibly can. So we want to kind of move it up here, stick it on the far side, and just continue to drain that whey. I'm just going to set that there and let that drain a little bit. Check our temperature, and we are sitting real close. So we're just going to go ahead and shut that off. And we're going to start scooping our curds from this one out. And you'll see, as you saw, we brought the curds out of that other one. You'll see these curds look completely different. I'm just going to set that in there. Notice how the vinegar only almost looked like cottage cheese, whereas this almost looks like cheese already. I mean, you can use vinegar, and we'll see when we get to the taste test as to the differences. But I'll be honest with you, just the amount of cheese, I mean, I'm sure you can probably already see, the amount of cheese that's coming out of this one already is a massive amount more. I mean, granted, it was twice the amount of milk, but that is way more than twice the amount of cheese. Almost reminds me of tofu. except I don't like tofu. Gonna let that set and drip dry. All right, so if you look at the difference between the two, let me drain this way off of here. Look at the difference between the two. This is a half a gallon, this is a gallon. I'd definitely say that this has made a whole lot more cheese than the vinegar way. I'm gonna let that set and kind of drain a little bit, and we're gonna move on to the next phase. So basically you're gonna stick it in the microwave. You're gonna go 30 seconds at a time. You're trying to get it back up to temperature until it's soft and moldable. But you can see it's already kind of getting hard, but it's not stretchy. So 30 seconds, I'll be right back with you. It is definitely warm. Some people use a spoon. I mean, quite frankly, I think that just using your hands, just be careful because it will be hot. But you can see that it's kind of almost like you would a ball of dough. But see how it's tearing right there? Okay, so that means it's not hot enough quite yet. Another 30 seconds and we'll get back at it. All right, so this, yep, that is definitely hot. You can actually see the consistency of the cheese is kind of different now. I believe you're trying to get the temperature up. I'll post it on the screen somewhere, but if my memory serves me correctly, the number is 160 or 170 degrees that you're trying to get this cheese up to. So, but if you look, I mean, notice how smooth that is. As soon as it starts to cool down and it's not burning my fingers, then I'll actually stretch this for you. So just keep on working it almost like you would if you're making a pizza dough, which oddly enough, this is what this is for. And see how that's stretching? That's perfect. So now you want to be able to cool this. You can stick it in an ice bath, or you can just stick it straight in the freezer. Ice bath kind of washes off some more that way. So this one took a little longer. Obviously, it's more cheese. Yep, that's hot. That is, yep, that's, yes, welcome to Blue Belly Hurts Himself. But again, notice how it's starting to get that smooth skin as I'm actually just working it. And all I'm doing is I'm like pulling my fingers in. I'm bringing it down with my thumb, and I'm pushing it with my fingers. So I'm kind of doing this and over here. So you want to see? And actually, I'd say that's probably good. So I'll go ahead and form this into a ball before it cools down too much. So we're just going to actually cool it. I'm going to stick it in this Tupperware here. You can dry it with a paper towel, but I'm going to let these set in the fridge, and we'll do a little taste test. All right, so the mozzarella has been setting and has cooled off completely. So we're going to do a little bit of a sample here. Now this is the mozzarella that was made with just vinegar. And this is the mozzarella that was made the traditional way.
Citric acid.
Rennet. And rennet, yeah. So we want to try this one first. So cheers. Cheers. The texture is definitely, it's actually kind of nice.
There's no vinegar.
There's no vinegar.
I was kind of expecting to taste some vinegar in there.
Yeah.
It does seem like a lot of vinegar.
Yeah. I mean, it almost needs like salt. With that, which we didn't add salt to this.
Yeah, but its consistency is nice.
Yeah, it's and I'll tell you, as we try this one, this is a softer.
Oh, definitely. A little stringier.
Now, I will tell you, this is the original string cheese, as I'm sure you probably know.
Different consistency. I wouldn't say saltier. A little sweeter, maybe. They're both great, and they're both going to taste fabulous with little caprese. Definitely.
Now, I'm going to ask one thing. Can you grab the scale? Now, this was a half a gallon of milk, and that's 158 grams.
Wow.
Now, this is a gallon of milk, so should be about 300, but I can tell you right now that's more than 300. That's 460. So we actually were able to get more cheese from using the traditional method. If you don't want to use that or don't have it, don't want to order it, that's fine. This actually is good. I do like the consistency of that one better, and I probably would have added salt to the recipe, which normally they do. I didn't want to do that because I wanted to just get the flavor of it. But we're going to slice this up and slice up some tomatoes.
Let's have a little treat.
And have a little treat, yes.
Yum.
All right.
Vinegar.
Vinegar, yes. Start with this one.
Raw milk for the win.
So, okay, so any final conclusions about which direction you would go?
Well, for the yield alone, I'd stick with the rennet and citric acid. But like you said, if you don't have it, a lot of people have just white vinegar at home.
Would also say, now we've made mozzarella in the past with the rennet and the citric acid, and it went really quick, really easy.
Yeah.
This one had to set for a lot longer.
We don't know why.
So if you're making it at home, just give it time sometimes. Don't.
Be patient. And you can use store-bought milk too, right?
Right, you can.
Yeah.
My understanding, you could even use powdered milk. That doesn't make sense to me.
No. We'll have
but
to try it. We'll
may
do
have
a
to.
side by side again.
Yes. So if you got anything out of this, do a like and subscribe. And thanks for joining us here at Blue Belly Acres.
Yeah. That's cool.
See you.